This is Richard Arfsten. When I was young, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12 years old, my dad had a friend of his that had an ice racing boat. And they used to race on a lake in Wisconsin here called Lake Geneva. And it's a fairly decent sized lake. But anyways, the ice would freeze over and almost look like glass. And when it does, then all kinds of people would come out and race their boats. So anyways, it's kind of like a sailboat with 3 skates under it. Only the thing is, this thing would get going so fast you'd tack into the wind. Even if there was only a 15-mile-an-hour wind, if you had that sail just right, you could get that boat going up to about 100 miles an hour. Unbelievable! And then the wind would change a little bit and the thing would tip, and one of those skates would come up in the air and you'd be leaning over, and you gotta be careful, fall down 100 miles an hour, you're gonna get yourself scratched up pretty good, Anyhow, this thing here reminds me of that ice skating boat. And Flash Gordon and I have nighttime adventures, and we go to other planets, and on one of these planets there's a lot of ice. There's no water, everything is ice, and they got all different kinds of boats that travel on the ice, and some are powered by wind, some are powered by solar wind, some are powered by some kind of magnetic energy that they're able to harness, blah blah blah. Anyways, that's what this is to me. Now I gotta talk a little bit about making simple sculpture with just a few elements. That looks easy, but it's not. The fewer the elements, the much harder it is to get the piece to be interesting. So I think this is an interesting piece, and I think it would look great in front of some kind of a corporation or building or something like that. And you could develop a story around it. You could say a piece that's hooked to the base, that's the original company, and other ones are offshoots, and maybe the two on the outside are other ventures that they've gotten into or companies that they bought that aren't quite the same as the two main ones are, whatever. Anyways, I always like to develop a little story. You don't have to develop a story, could be just something, Because this piece has a recognizable sail, it's easy to relate to that it has some meaning. And this really could be a landmark that you would look for when you're driving down the road. Oh, that's the office building with the sailboat in front of it. Anyways, that has value to you as a business person. For 30 years, I have been building these little maquettes and making a library so that if somebody was interested in enlarging a big piece of sculpture, they would have a whole series of choices to pick from. The way it usually works is, if you wanted a piece of sculpture in front of your house, you talk to an artist and you get him to submit some drawings of maybe 3 pieces or so, and then if you're lucky, maybe you could get them to build a maquette for you. Well, it's really a trick to build a maquette unless you're going to do it out of balsa wood and paper, like a paper airplane. But that's so fragile that it's very hard to use that to measure off of. Anyway, I've always operated off of the principle that it's very hard to read somebody's mind to figure out what it is that they want. So I would rather do is give them a whole bunch of options. And I probably have a library of 300 maquettes that are ready to go. So the beautiful part about a maquette is it works. It's not a drawing. You're not getting any numbers on a piece of paper. It's there. You can see it works. And then who's ever building the enlarged piece can measure off it, and it's very simple that way. So most of it's done now with a computer and a laser scanner. The other beautiful thing about having a library full of maquettes is I can mail them anywhere in the world. You know, not that I'm going to mail the whole library, but you know, I'm trying to put up these videos, and I have websites that are up there that you can pick from. And trying to ship a 12-foot piece of sculpture is a very, very expensive thing, especially if you're going overseas, you know. So by you controlling your own fabricator, I don't know, a lot of people use landscapers to set the piece of sculpture, whatever, and make the site preparation. You control all that. You save all kinds of money, you know, instead of having me be the general contractor and, you know, the regular architect, you know, he can sell you the plans or he can supervise the building. I just want to sell you the plans. This is a three-dimensional blueprint. So it's a little different way of working. I don't know anybody else who does it this way because it's very expensive to make maquettes. In my situation, I've spent a lot of time figuring out how to make these maquettes and have a facility to do that. Well, the facility's gone now, so I can't make any more. If you're interested in looking at some more of my work, there's a lot of it listed on sachiart.com/Richard Arfsten. It's got prices there and another little story and yada yada. Thanks for giving me a little of your time, and have a nice day. I appreciate it.